There's so many classic Christmas stories that come up year after year. While these classics are well appreciated, I'm not sure many appreciate that they're also all about privacy. Last year, I elaborated on how Dr. Seuss's Grinch Who Stole Christmas packs a whole bunch of privacy lessons, including intrusion upon seclusion, home invasion, surveillance, and identity theft. I'm not going to say that privacy is everywhere, but if you look closely, you can often find privacy themes in a lot of what is popular culture. So if you decide to rewatch Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol over the holidays, you can see a number of privacy themes. In a nutshell, it's a timeless tale of redemption that follows the miserly Ebenezer Scrooge, who is visited by the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and yet to come on Christmas Eve. The Ghost of Christmas Past shows some scenes from his own life, revealing how he became consumed by greed and isolation. The Ghost of Christmas Present reveals the hardships faced by others, including his underpaid employee Bob Chratchitt and his ill son, Tiny Tim. The Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come provides a haunting vision of Scrooge's lonely death and legacy if he remains unchanged. Moved by this, Scrooge awakens on Christmas morning with a renewed spirit, embracing generosity, compassion, and the joy of the season, transforming his relationships and the lives of those around him. While Dickens likely wasn't thinking about privacy when he wrote his novella in 1843, the story presents an interesting lens to examine contemporary privacy concepts: surveillance, consent, transparency, and maybe even data retention. So let's dive in. First, let's consider the ghosts. They act as supernatural watchers, revealing deeply personal and sensitive moments from Scrooge's past, present, and future. These are experiences that he hasn't shared with others, yet the ghosts can pull these moments up, visit them, and expose them without Scrooge's consent. Scrooge is shown moments from his childhood, left by his family at his boarding school over Christmas. They remind him of his sister and her son, both of whom were kind and loving. They show him enjoying a nice Christmas party put on by his former employer, who was kind and generous to his own employees, unlike Scrooge. The ghost also shows him the woman he loved and lost, Belle, when he began to obsess about wealth. It's like the elf on the shelf, except the ghost can pull up moments from Scrooge's past, present, and future without any effort. I suppose we can do the same thing by scrolling through our camera rolls, or others can do it by scrutinizing our social media history. But it would require self-awareness, something that Scrooge lacks, at least at this stage. Next, consider the Chratchitt family. During Scrooge's journey with the Ghost of Christmas Present, he's shown the Cratchitts' private struggles, including Tiny Tim's illness. He's totally creeping on what is private time for the Chratchitt family. It really is an intrusion into their dignity, their seclusion, but Scrooge really should have been aware of what that family was dealing with, but he had turned a blind, uncaring eye to all of it. It also kind of reminds me of what's being called trauma porn or misery porn, where people record other people's suffering and post on social media, often for the purpose of eliciting strong emotional reactions, gaining attention, or signaling one's virtue. This behavior is rightly criticized because it can exploit people's pain for clicks or engagement while failing to address the underlying issues or respect the dignity of those depicted. Kind of just gross. Now, the Ghost of Christmas Present's purpose is not voyeuristic and gross. He does so to provoke change in Scrooge. This raises a thorny question. When is it ethical to share someone else's private data to serve a broader public purpose? Does the end justify the means? Now let's turn to the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. This ghost shows Scrooge his potential legacy, a lonely grave and a reputation of cold indifference. He would also have a less tangible legacy of hardship for his employees. Once you're gone, that legacy is all that's left. These days, that legacy may include a lifetime of social media posts and LinkedIn updates. At the end of the day, the ghosts provide him with a clear view of how his actions affect others, almost like a reputation audit. By exposing him to his earlier life, the decisions he's made, and the impacts on others, we finally see some accountability. This shock treatment exposure of all of it causes Scrooge to take responsibility for his past and realize he needs to, or at least should, change the future. Scrooge awakens on Christmas morning with a renewed spirit, embracing generosity, compassion, and the joy of the season, transforming his relationships and the lives of those around him. Now, in 1849, doing this required supernatural abilities and time travel. These days, our digital footprints are often out there to be found online or via data brokers. Each of our decisions, particularly those that have an impact on others, are likely recorded, documented, and can be recalled to be confronted. This should maybe prompt us to take a look at our own digital legacies, what they say about us to the present and what they will look like to the future. Most social media is by your own curation, and you can tell that many people carefully curate the image that they project. While much of that is artificial, it may make sense to take some quiet time during the holidays to go back over your social media data trail and think about what that should be public, what should be only shared with friends, and maybe there's some stuff that you'll want to delete. You have the power to change your narrative. By respecting privacy and protecting data, we can build a future that's fair, ethical, and just, one where we all have an opportunity to thrive. Now, before I wrap up, I'll share a couple privacy tips to be mindful of around the holidays. Online shopping is great, don't get me wrong, but you should be aware that information about what you're shopping for might be inadvertently disclosed to the recipient of the gift. For example, various members of our family use my Amazon account and other accounts. So if I go browsing for particular items, and particularly if I buy them, someone else who can also log into that account can see that activity. There can be notifications about purchases, and the purchase history is there for all to see. Just be mindful of that. And if you share devices, the other people who use that device may see ads that are relevant to what you've been looking for. So if you share a device, think about using an incognito window for your online shopping. People also tend to share information about happy occasions on social media, and this can be opening presents at holiday parties and other events. Be mindful of the privacy interests of anyone who you may capture in an image and post online. Particularly think about kids' privacy, and especially any kid who is not your kid. Check your privacy settings to make sure that the audience is appropriate for what it is you're sharing. Just ask if it's okay to post, and specify where you're going to post it. Also related to social media, people often post about their holidays, and this time of year has a lot of travel. Your social media postings can let people know when your house is empty, and at least the police say this information has been used by people planning burglaries. And finally, there are loads and loads of scams and hoaxes that fill our inboxes. But around this time of year when a lot of things are shipped, you should be very cautious about this type of message. You might actually be expecting parcels, and some may be late. The messages that you get about these are almost always a complete scam, hoping you'll click on the link and share your personal information. So please always be vigilant. Enjoy your holidays. I hope this has been interesting and helpful. I try to put out a new video every few weeks, so if you're interested in this sort of content, please click the like and subscribe buttons. Also leave a comment if you have any questions or if you have any suggestions for other topics to cover. And of course, feel free to share this with anyone who you think may be interested in hearing about Canadian tech and privacy law. Thanks for tuning in.